You know that moment? You're cruising at 30,000 feet, you peel back the foil on your in-flight meal, and you just kinda stare at it? Have you ever really stopped to wonder how it got there? It seems so simple, right? A little tray with some food. But let me tell you, behind that meal is a massive, and I mean massive, world of logistics, science, and some seriously cool engineering. Today, we're pulling back that curtain.
And look, we have to start with the universal question, the one we've all asked ourselves. Why does this stuff taste so bland? Is the food just bad? Are they cutting corners on ingredients? For decades, airline food has been the butt of every travel joke. But the real answer isn't in the kitchen at all. It's a wild story of logistics, biology, and some truly fascinating science.
To really wrap your head around this, you have to start with the sheer scale of the operation. Just look at this number, 220,000. That's how many meals just one of the world's largest catering facilities, we're talking Emirates Freight Catering here, cranks out every single day. This isn't a restaurant, folks. This is a non-stop, high-stakes manufacturing operation running 24/7. So, how does that meal actually get from a kitchen on the ground to your seat in the sky? Well, it's a journey that starts way, way before you even think about booking your ticket. It all happens inside these massive facilities that operate with the precision of a military campaign.
And this right here, this stat completely reframes the entire industry. You might think it's all about the food, but really it's about 80% logistics and only about 20% actual catering. Think about it, getting hundreds of thousands of very specific, temperature-controlled, and most importantly, safe meals onto hundreds of different planes, all leaving at different times every single day without a hitch. Honestly, the cooking is almost the easy part.
Okay, so here's how it all breaks down. First, the planning. We're talking menus being designed up to a full year in advance. Then you've got the cooking on this insane industrial scale, where hygiene is everything. But this next step, rapid chilling, this is probably the most critical part for safety. The cooked food is blast chilled to below 5 degrees Celsius, which completely stops any nasty bacteria from growing. Only then does it hit these crazy fast assembly lines, where everything is plated, sealed, and loaded into carts, ready to be driven out to the aircraft. Every single step is timed down to the minute. It has to be perfect.
And to tackle that big problem of freshness, you get incredible innovations like this. I mean, how do you get fresh screens in the middle of a desert? Well, if you're Emirates, you build Bostanica, the world's largest vertical farm. This place produces over 1 million plants at any given time, uses 95% less water than traditional farming, and get this, 0 pesticides. It provides fresh greens that go directly from the farm to your flight. It's a huge leap forward, not just for quality, but for sustainability too. So if the food is being made with this much care, and they're even building giant vertical farms for it, we're back to our original question. Why does it still taste so bland? Well, here comes the fascinating part. The answer is, the problem isn't the food. The problem is the airplane cabin itself, and what that environment does to your body.
See, right now, on the ground, you're in an environment with normal air pressure and humidity. But once you get to cruising altitude, everything changes. The cabin pressure drops to what you'd feel on top of a mountain. And the air, it becomes incredibly dry. We're talking less than 12% humidity, which is drier than most deserts on Earth. It's this 1-2 punch of low pressure and dry air that just wreaks havoc on your senses.
And this isn't just a feeling, it's been scientifically proven. A really important study by Lufthansa actually measured this effect. In a simulated cabin environment on the ground, they found that our ability to perceive sweet and salty tastes just plummets by about 30%. You are literally less sensitive to these fundamental flavors when you're flying.
So here's what's happening. That super dry cabin air dries out your nasal passages, and that dulls your sense of smell. And since your sense of smell makes up something like 80% of what we perceive as flavor, everything tastes muted. Now, here's the twist. While sweet and salty flavors get suppressed, other tastes like bitter, sour, and spicy are pretty much unaffected. This explains a classic airline mystery. Why does tomato juice taste so amazing on a plane? It's because its strong, savory umami flavor is one of the few things that can cut through all that sensory dullness.
Now, the airline chefs, they know all of this. This isn't news to them. They're not actually cooking for the version of you on the ground. They're cooking for the version of you at 30,000 feet. So they intentionally add more salt, more spices, and use ingredients with really bold flavors, think curries, rich stews, and heavy sauces, so that by the time that meal gets to your dulled palate, it actually tastes seasoned correctly.
Of course, as you've probably experienced, not all in-flight dining is created equal.
The whole experience, the menu, the philosophy behind the meal, it all changes dramatically depending on whether you turn left or right when you board the plane.
And the airlines take this really, really seriously. Like Joe Nunez from the catering giant Gate Gourmet says, food is a key part of the customer's journey. They know that a fantastic meal, especially in those premium cabins, can be a major reason you choose to fly with them over a competitor.
And the difference is, well, it's stark. Up front and first in business class, the whole focus is on a luxury, restaurant-in-the-sky experience. You've got multi-course meals, celebrity chef menus, real china and silverware. But in economy, the priorities completely shift. The name of the game is efficiency and nutrition. How do you serve hundreds of people a safe, decent meal as quickly as humanly possible? The goal is totally different, so the product is totally different.
All right, so for our last section, let's talk about the final piece of this logistical puzzle. Making sure there's enough food for everybody on board, and then figuring out what on earth to do with everything that's left behind.
Have you ever been in the back of the plane and worried they're going to run out of the chicken before the cart gets to your row? Well, to prevent that exact scenario, airlines use a pretty clever strategy. According to a former flight attendant, they typically load about 110% of the meals they need. This buffer ensures that even the very last person to be served still gets a choice, and it also makes sure there's enough food for the flight crew to eat.
But what happens to all the uneaten food and all that packaging? Well, the industry follows something called the waste hierarchy. As you can see, the #1 priority is always prevention, just using better planning and data to avoid creating waste in the first place. Only after that do they look at options like reuse, recycling, or composting. Disposal is the absolute last resort. It's a huge challenge, especially with all the complex international regulations they have to deal with.
You know, this quote really just nails it. It captures the whole essence of what we've been talking about. That simple little tray is the final product of this vast, almost invisible operation. A silent, precise, and relentless process that repeats itself thousands upon thousands of times a day, all over the world, just so you can have a meal in the sky.
So, what do you think? The next time a flight attendant places that tray on your table, are you just going to see chicken or pasta, or are you going to see the incredible ballet of logistics, science, and culinary engineering that it took to get it there? It really might just be the most interesting meal you have all year.